When a team expands and comes into the league, they're expected to be at the bottom of the league for a few seasons, unless you're the Golden Knights, that is. And teams are most notable for having their worst season during their first year of expansion. It's expected. Well, the team we'll be talking about today did just that, but were flat out horrendous. Not only were they the worst expansion team of all time, but they just so happened to be the worst NHL team of all time. So, how did this happen? What went wrong? Well, spoiler alert, almost everything went wrong. Before we begin, I want to give a huge shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. SeatGeek is an app that allows users to purchase tickets to games, concerts, and live events. SeatGeek makes buying tickets simple as they rate them on a scale of 1 to 100. The higher the number, the better the deal. So if you haven't already, use my promo code IDGT at checkout to save $20 off your first purchase. Now, let's get into it. We'll start when the two new teams were introduced, and this was in 1974 when the NHL gave us the Kansas City Scouts, who would later go on to be the modern-day New Jersey Devils, and the Washington Capitals. Our focus will be headed towards the DC area, as yes, the Capitals were in fact the worst team of all time. Let's start in the draft. As Washington possessed the first overall pick and a what seemed to be all-Canadian-based prospect pool, they ended up picking defenseman Greg Jolly, who wouldn't stick around for very long. Jolly would play in Washington for about 2 seasons, then went to the Wings, having an overall mediocre NHL career. Keep in mind, this was during the 70s, and the European invasion has yet to happen, so there was a lesser amount of talent in these prospect pools than many thought. Nonetheless, with Jolly being known as one of the biggest letdowns in NHL history, the Capitals were already messing up, and it didn't help when the team actually began to play on the ice. The Capitals, despite their poor start to the season, had some pretty decent players. Tommy Williams would end up leading the team in points with only 58, and they had some other guys such as Dennis DePerry and fan favorite Yvon Lebray. DePerry was the Capitals' second highest scoring producer with a whopping 35 points, and Lebray was more of a fan favorite than anything in DC, as he posted his best stat line in his career that season with a mere 27 points. In fact, he was so loved by the Caps that his jersey number got retired after Lebray called it quits, and his name is still hanging in the rafters to this day. Now that you know the Caps' noticeable names, it's time to see how well this team did in their inaugural season. This team stunk, and stunk a lot. The Caps started the season 1-2-1, and then it all went downhill. Cause after their win on October 17th, they wouldn't win again until nearly a month later. This team averaged a win a month, and that was terrible. In fact, their total team win percentage was a .131. That's all-time lows. And we didn't even talk about the goaltenders earlier, as there was no need to. These guys were flat out horrible. The Caps had 3 goaltenders that season, and out of the 3, only one had a semi-decent record. Starting goaltender Ron Lowe had every single win the Caps had that season. The other 2 goalies didn't even notch a single win. In fact, Michael Belhumer, the backup goalie, went 0-24-3 with a .536 goals against average. Things got so bad that midway through the season, Caps coach Jim Anderson had to resign due to being diagnosed with stomach ulcers, which was caused by stress. This team was so bad to the point where they gave their coach stomach ulcers. Think about that for a second. Anderson would go on to say, quote, "I'd rather find out my wife was cheating on me than keep losing like this. At least I could tell my wife to cut it out." This team lost 4 games by 10 or more goals and only won 1 game on the road out of 40 road games on the season. At one point, they even went on a 17-game losing streak. At this point, the product on the ice was just flat out awful, and this team, only in their first season in the league, was just disastrous. Obviously, the Caps would get better in time, so let's see how they got to where they are now. The Capitals were so bad throughout the 70s and early 80s that a Save the Caps campaign was in place to try to keep the team in Washington. However, the Capitals in 1983 would pull a complete 180, making the playoffs 14 consecutive times from 83 to 96. And this all started from help by guys such as Gartner, Carpenter, and Langway. Throughout those 14 seasons brought many memorable moments, such as the Easter Epic and names such as Adam Oates, Olaf Kolzig, Phil Housley, and Peter Bondra, and Dale Hunter. Eventually in 1998, the Capitals would even make their first Stanley Cup final appearance, however getting swept by the Detroit Red Wings in 4 games. After another rebuilding process, which brought in guys such as Alex Ovechkin and Nicholas Backstrom, the Caps worked on building a contender, and it finally paid off in 2018, as Ovi led the Caps to the team's first Stanley Cup in franchise history, as the worst expansion team of all time clashed against the best expansion team of all time. To believe that this all started so poorly would have never been imagined, especially if you're a new fan who just started watching the NHL a few years ago. But yes, the Capitals started off extremely terrible, but in the end, it was their poor play which ended up leading to high rewards. Regardless, it's crazy to think that any team in any sport could do that bad in a single season, even if it's their first year in the league. And to think it all started by selecting a first overall bust during an inaugural season in 1974.
It's just us saying we're not gonna be fucking sucked this year. We're